Planned Brotherhood is not affiliated or associated with Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is a registered trademark of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, Incorporated.
It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. The sun would shine, the candy bars, Kool-Aid flowing like wine, the comic books, the TV shows, the bubble gum, the kitty cat.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to episode 108 of Planned Brotherhood. Before we get started, we just wanted to warn anybody that may be a new listener. This may not be the one to start with. There's nothing wrong with it except for it's really personal and really angry. And if you listen closely, you might hear us cry. So we just thought we'd throw that out there. And while I have you, twitter.com/plannedbrohood. If you want to email us regarding this episode or any others, brotherofallpodcast, plural, @gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail, 206-338-7562, or join our Facebook fan page. Just type in Planned Brotherhood. Are you guys ready? Here we go.
Captain America, the little girl, the flowers in the yard, the dog and cat, the welcome mat.
So by the time this episode posts, which is like, well, who knows when it posts, but just in a few days from now, I guess like 6 days, I will be seeing our sister Melissa again.
For the first time since foster care, sure.
And really for the first time since like well before she went into foster care, too.
Well, that would be the case for me if I was going to be around, but I'm not. Nothing against her. I just, worked out for me better to be here this week instead.
Yeah. But you also saw her like right before she went into foster care.
Yeah, I was there for that hearing that she attended.
Yeah. So this is what I'm expecting. Tan. Obviously, she's spending a lot of time at Wild Waves lately.
Every other day. Wild Waves is a water park, if you couldn't tell by that awesome title. But yeah, I got a text from her at 3 in the morning yesterday.
Are you serious?
Telling me that she's going to go to Wild Waves again this week.
I told her no more texts later than midnight.
Yeah, what is she doing up at 3? I mean, I realize she doesn't have school. It's summertime, but come on.
Yeah, I know. Well,
some things don't change, I guess.
Yeah, she just doesn't sleep, right? She never does. I mean, she stays at Lori's a lot, and that's why she'll be in Yakima. And I mean, Lori will tell stories about, like, getting up to go to the bathroom at 3 in the morning, and Melissa's just, like, sitting on the edge of the bed like she's Sling Blade or something like that, staring at the wall, just waiting for everybody to wake up, like she just went on a coke bender or something.
Yeah, that's unpleasant.
I'm also expecting her to be quite fit, probably a six-pack. And
all right, I know you're making
out
fun,
quite a bit.
But I have heard she's lost some weight, which is good for her.
Yeah, she was...
I'm sure her diet is so much better.
She was a heavy girl.
She was.
She
and
was
in all
quite large.
Yeah, and in weird places, too. Like, she... Is frumpy even accurate?
Yeah, kind of hunchbacky.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I know she's had plenty of dental work done, which was more than necessary by that point.
That'll be the interesting thing. And now...
Yeah, I'm really interested for you to report back to me.
And when we hear, like, on the phone or leaving, like, that voicemail she left you, and she sounds better, I wonder how much of that just has to do with dental work. The dentist said that one of her teeth was so badly infected, he didn't understand how she wasn't screaming and wailing the whole time. You know, maybe just having good teeth and in the right spot and not rotting out of her head, maybe that has improved her voice, you know?
Yeah, her speech.
Yeah.
She doesn't lapse into the baby talk as much like we talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
She's still, I hope they're teaching her some spelling over there. There's still some issues, but...
Not via the text, not according to the text messages I see.
No, but I'm really happy for her, and I'm glad that she seems happy, and you'll have to let me know. We'll have to report back on the show.
I have to take her one night.
You have to, or you volunteer to?
I think Alvina volunteered us too. But, like, I think Friday night or something like that, we're going to have Melissa. Which is fine, I guess, and it might be better now than it has been in the past. But usually it's just an inconvenience. It's just... And you know, I could be like, hey, let's go out and do stuff, and maybe I will this time, but
it's so fucking miserably hot.
Yeah, and it's just kind of her sitting there and then sort of laughing way too hard at things that are marginally funny.
Super clingy. asking the same questions over and over again. But who knows how much of that has already changed?
We'll have to keep an eye on her around the baby and stuff like that. Which isn't that big a deal to me anymore, because Sophie's like old enough to take care of herself. Albina's still very protective, like Sophie's very fragile. She doesn't have any soft spots anymore or anything like that. She's fine.
I know, but sometimes when Sophie goes, like, let's say we park at a Target. Oh, no, that wouldn't be the case, because you wouldn't let her run around by herself anyway. But when we're heading to Target, we walk down, from your place to your car, and she'll go running ahead a few steps. And I told you yesterday, like, the only overprotective uncle thing I feel is that she's going to beef it on the sidewalk and fucking take out 3 teeth.
Yeah, because that's like the most hardcore thing. And then like that happens to kids. I mean, I've done that before, running around and knocking my fucking teeth out or chipping them or whatever.
Yeah, and it will happen at one point in her life. She's going to get injured.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, I hope I'm not there, because I might cry.
Yeah, it will be fucking brutal. She'll fall off the playground and or the big toy at the playground or something like that. You're expecting it. I just don't want Melissa to be pushing her off. You know what I mean? Like, just to see what happens.
But that's not Melissa. She'd just be loving her too much, showing her too much affection, and then she pushes her off the big toy by accident.
I guess it's like I just literally have nothing in common with Melissa. She's my sister, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just blood. That's all there is between it now. I mean, I don't have an emotional connection to her. I haven't been around her in so long. You don't think
one might develop now, everything she's been through? Like, what if she's got some, war stories when she comes?
I know that, like, I'm kind of an asshole. Like, I just kind of try to...
I'm not trying to make you sound like an asshole.
Put the fact that I have a sister out of my mind, almost. I mean, it's just like...
And yet you'll be...
It's an entirely fucked up situation, that whole situation over there. I just don't even really like to think about it. I just would rather just pretend like it's not happening. And I know that's not fair to her, but it's not like she's really missing out on anything by having me around.
Well, I think she loves the idea of being an aunt and being able to see your kid occasionally.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised that you're going to be seeing her before I do the first time, since all this has happened.
Well, I mean...
I'm the one that took the effort before. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, we've got someone who has gone through the fingerprint scans and stuff who's picking her up, so she'll be in town.
Yeah, but I could just as easily be here next week.
Oh, yeah.
Criminal record or... Fuck it. No criminal record.
You don't have a criminal record. And not one that's going to stop you from seeing Melissa anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's got my phone number now.
Hey, you gave me permission to give that to her, all right?
Yeah, I know. And that makes it sound so much worse than it was. I've said it before. Just once she wasn't with Mom anymore, it was fine.
Right.
Because now there was no way for Mom to get it, and hopefully not. By the way, do we know, does she ever even talk to Mom?
She has no interest in talking to Mom.
Yeah, but I wonder if she does.
No, she doesn't. I think the last time she had to deal with Mom, I may have talked about this before. She went with her foster mom and a foster sister to go pick up some of the stuff that had been left at the house, like shortly after they'd taken her. And
Mom, urine-soaked clothes and whatnot.
Yeah, and Mom was there, like back from Western State. And rather than like having an emotional scene, like her daughter had been torn away from her not 2 weeks prior, but she's yelling at Melissa the whole time about, those aren't your DVDs, those are mine, don't take them.
Yeah, which I can totally see Mom doing.
I can't believe it. When I heard that, I was like, wow, really?
But didn't Mom also have a big scene there? Like, wasn't there like a suicide threat?
That was when they initially when CPS first came to check out the situation.
It wasn't when they went back to pick it up?
No. She was just yelling. She was just being a bitch to Melissa.
So did Melissa like not get her DVDs?
No, she got they were her DVDs. Mom was just like, all of a sudden it wasn't her right to take this.
Yeah.
And Melissa was hiding behind her foster parent, is the story that I heard, which is crazy. So, yeah, I know that she's been given the option to talk to Mom on the phone, to visit Mom in the hospital when she was there, and she told them no. She just wants to see Dad.
Which is weird because, and especially because...
Wanting to see Dad, I agree.
Especially because she's so willing to see Dad, it's weird that Melissa holds a grudge. I mean, like, Mom, like, really fucked her up. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't have thought Melissa was capable of holding a grudge.
Yeah, I know. And it's like Mom turned me and you against her, which, you know, the way we were raised, whatever. But, like, she also turned Melissa against her. Like, Mom's the one person in the world Melissa doesn't like. So, congratulations, Mom. That should show you right there. That should prove it right there what kind of mother you are. And I bet Mom still tries to say she's a good mother.
I'm sure that's how she eventually goes to sleep every night.
Yeah.
Just
Saying,
telling herself that we're wrong.
at least I did the best I could. She's at least telling herself that. But yeah, I mean, Melissa's willing to see Dad, and
Excited to see Dad.
Yeah, and they get together, and probably just as rarely as they ever did, right?
I think, as far as I know, I talk to her pretty regularly. I think this over Father's Day was the first time and only time she's seen him since she was taken away.
Are you serious? So
Yeah.
he doesn't even do that every other Saturday bullshit
No.
anymore? Wow, what a piece of shit.
Even
man.
though he's been checked out.
But he talks to her on the phone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, and according to her, I guess that he's always telling her, oh, I wish things were different. I wish it was possible for me to take you into my house, but it's just not possible. And stuff.
Fuck him.
Yeah, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, Lori. Make sure to make it very clear to Melissa that when Melissa says, oh, my dad says that he wishes he can take me, but it's just impossible, and that's why I have to be in foster care. Lori, make sure that Melissa knows, no, that's not true, Melissa. Like, you're an adult now, and you're getting better, so this needs to be made clear to you. Your dad is lying to you. He has every means possible to take you in. He can financially take care of you. I mean, if you look at child support, he does financially take care of you. He's got room in his house. He's got the extra room where he watches TV with headphones, and they bought all the crib and shit to take care of
They call that the
Sophie.
Corvette lamp room.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got the room, he's got the money, he's got the time.
He's also got the wife, though, so
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he can't take her.
No, it does, though, to him.
Yeah.
But that's not how he's explaining it to her.
But, like, he could...
We were all there for that hearing. He knows that Melissa will blab about anything that anybody's talked about with her.
Yeah.
We know... Oh, God, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
going to let
I
you
mean,
do
go.
all... No, I can't even make my point clear. I'm just saying, like, he knows he's lying to her as he's talking to her. Has he convinced himself, at least?
I absolutely think so. But he knows that nobody else believes him, so that's why he's got to keep saying it to Melissa over and over again.
Right.
Oh, I just can't. And your brother wanted me to kidnap you. And these are the things that, like, him and his psycho wife are saying to each other.
Yeah.
That it's impossible for me to take Melissa. Nick wants me to kidnap her. That's against the law. Everything like that.
I'm sure he's working off of index cards and handwriting when he goes to see Melissa.
Yeah. And like we've said before,
neck fritters.
Who else is he talking to? It's just his wife. So I mean, so they sit there and they must talk about it all day, every day. I mean, at least in my mind, that's what's going on.
I think you're hoping so. At least.
Oh yeah. And so he
aren't they burnt out on being mad at us by now?
No, I don't think so. Because what else do they have to talk about? And like you said, it's a script he's basically reciting to Melissa, just these things that they talk about over and over again. And like, I mean, we knew he was a bad dad. We knew that he has no problem abandoning his kids because he did it to us. I mean, you moved away to grandma's house
before he could abandon me.
But he was going to do it.
Yes.
And he, much like Melissa, we were raised with no life skills whatsoever. He never taught us how to drive or... the fact that we got to choose, I know that it was our choice not to go to high school, shouldn't have been a choice.
Right.
We go to school.
Right.
You go to high school. That's what it's going to be like with my daughter.
I only accepted that fact a few years ago, by the way.
Yeah. And I mean, and at least you stayed up on your homeschooling. Like I did like one assignment and that was it.
Right, but look at us now.
And
at least you're going for a college degree now.
And back then, it wasn't an option. I mean, at what age did you know, oh, yeah, we're not going to college? I mean, we had to have known it since birth, that it just wasn't on the table. Like, we're not. And whether or not, I mean, a lot of parents can't afford it, but they're at least telling their kids, oh, you can work towards it like this. Prepare us for fucking life, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Teach us how to write a check, for God's
sake. And in the past years when I've talked to Dad, and he's always like, oh, I'm so proud of the way that you and your brother have turned out and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, no thanks to you whatsoever.
And we'll hear that a lot from like outside family or extended family members.
But
Uncle Tracy.
And they'll put that tag on it, no thanks to him.
Or no
mom.
Thanks to them.
Yeah, no thanks to them. Because we shouldn't, because what did we learn? And we had to, we came and we had family in Yakima that were kind of, sort of putting us on the right direction. We definitely had places to live and some, albeit spiritual support from.
But at the time, that's what I feel like that's what we needed.
Yeah,
that's all we knew. So
yeah, but I mean, just nothing from. I mean, I remember when I asked Dad to borrow money for to put a deposit on an apartment, and it was like, I told you, like, in 5 days you'll get it back, and just like 20 times during that 5 days it was like, hey, I need that back right now, and it was like $200.
Yep.
It's like,
I
come
borrowed
on, dude.
$180 from him when I got the job at that grocery store for union fees.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, son, take as much time as you want. But then his fucking wife gets in his ear, and then, he was secretly putting it on a credit card or something. And then she found out and confronted him. So he was calling me, and again, I'd set up like, okay, I'll have it for you when I get my first check.
Yeah.
And he's calling me every day. And that's the point where I first wrote Dad off. I made the mistake of letting him back into my fold, but I remember writing him a really vicious letter that I then sent off to him. Yeah. I don't remember if I got an apology for that or if I was just like, fuck it, all right.
And they needed the money because they were too busy putting, her son through law school and paying for his apartment. And that was the thing. Like, Dad could never...
Don't you feel guilt, motherfucker?
Dad could never tell his wife, like, hey, since we're paying for your kid's education and putting them on the track towards life, which you can't fault those kids for that. You can't even fault Neckforders for that. Who doesn't want to take care of their kids?
Right.
Well, I mean, Dad doesn't. Dad didn't care about it. But, like, okay,
you think he doesn't care?
I mean, obviously
he's buried whatever care he once had.
It wasn't. It's not because of Neckforders that he wasn't putting us on our life track. He wasn't doing it since we were little kids.
Right, but I think he did feel a lot of
once he got pussified, maybe he would have liked to have done it, but it wasn't an option with his wife. But it's like, if we're paying for your kid's law school in his apartment in Seattle, can I hang a picture up of my kid in my house? No, the answer is no.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Can I invite my daughter over to our house one time? No, you can't.
She had her one time.
Collect your pocket change and take her to Jackpot for 4 hours every other week. You know? Jackpot's a mini mart in Tacoma.
Could have gone 7-Eleven on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fucking sick. And then Melissa doesn't even. I mean, obviously we found out that she's capable of feeling hate,
carrying resentment. I wouldn't even say hate. I don't. Yeah. She hasn't outright said that she hates Mom.
Yeah, she recognizes that Mom screwed her over.
Right. But I think most of that is because Melissa had no out. When she was living with Mom, like, she was there constantly. Yeah. So Mom's just getting under her skin in that way because, Melissa saw, the decline of Mom. She saw her craziness get more and more defined as those last months went on. So I'm sure that's what's sticking in her head.
Yeah.
Who knows what was going on in that house? We've already talked about, like, Mom taking a piss in the middle of Melissa's floor in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Telling her to get out of the bathroom.
Do you think
like that? I'm sure that's the stuff that's etched in her head and makes her not want to see Mom.
Yeah.
Dad, she shouldn't like for different reasons, but I don't think she's accepted those yet. Like, he's so little a part of her life, and that's the reason she should be angry. Mm-hmm. But instead, she's thinking of it as, well, when I do get to see him, that's really exciting now.
Yeah, and do you think that maybe, like, she would rather live where she's living now than to move in with Dad and Neckforders?
She stated as much to me.
Yeah, but, I mean, you still have to recognize...
he's never given her the option. So.
Yeah, you need to recognize that Dad's being a fucking liar when he says the shit he's saying. And then, I was talking to...
Now, our Aunt Lori, I'm sorry to interrupt, but our Aunt Lori, when she explains to Melissa that your dad, and not maliciously, I'm sure, but when she's explaining that Dad is lying when he says he cannot care for her, what is Melissa's reaction to that?
I have no idea. I mean, Melissa's made it clear lately that she doesn't want to talk about the dad thing with me.
Is that right?
I mean...
Okay, well, let's get into this a little bit, because once you started getting texts from her and stuff again... I'll talk to her on the phone a couple of times a week. She texts me all the time. And when she tells me, hey, I got a call from Dad yesterday, or hey, I saw Dad on Father's Day, my reaction at this point, just to fuck him, by the way, is, oh, that's cool. Did you have fun? She says, yes, we move on from there.
Yeah.
I don't want to give him the satisfaction, because Melissa doesn't have, the capacity to not relay any conversation she has with anybody.
And Dad is a fan of shit talk parties.
Yes.
I mean, you remember riding home from any time we ever saw, Aunt Rhonda or Aunt Terry or anybody part of the family, and then we're sitting in the back seat and him and Mom are just sitting up front, just fucking bashing everybody, everything about every conversation that went on.
Right.
Like, and I don't know how they can think that they were the best part of any gathering, you know what I mean? That they were the ones who were above all these people. Like, Lori always had, like, money I mean, I don't want to say she was rich, but they had money. They kept their house nice. They had things for the kids. They did activities. They went on camping trips.
They had a boat.
And it was always like, oh, fucking yuppies and spoil their kids rotten and shit like that. I mean, come on. Can't you recognize like a good parent when you see one?
Yeah.
By the way, we each just got a text message, so I'm guessing it's from Melissa.
Let's take a quick look.
Okay. Nope, not from Melissa.
Sorry for that. Sorry for that letdown.
Yeah. So Melissa was. Are we here yet? So Melissa's texted me back, and yeah, when you talk to her,
I avoid any shit talk when it comes to either of our parents, just because. Yeah, when she does see Dad,
you're a little better person than me when it comes to that.
I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm saying is,
I'll go so far as to say, like, even when we were kids, you were better at sort of, for lack of a better term, suppressing your emotions. Like, I remember examples of, like, on the way home, us wanting to stop at McDonald's or something like that, and they would say no, and it would just fucking chap my hide so bad, and I'm in the back just sulking, and you could just let it go.
Yeah, what was the Rocketeer story? Didn't you fuck up the Rocketeer for us? And you were devastated. Dad would promise to take us, and then you said something flippant, and he's like, no, we're just driving straight home now, and you have PJ to thank. And you were crying hysterically, and I just accepted it, at least.
Yeah. So when when all this stuff is going on, and Melissa even brings up Dad, like, I'm the one who wants to sort of, and
I'm tempted to.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to. What I don't want, though, is to me say, hey, Dad's a fucking asshole and you shouldn't want to see him, because he's going to be grilling her on Father's Day the second he picks her up. And that's fucked up. Like, Melissa had...
And this is what he does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has a terribly traumatic experience. She's torn from her home where her mother's, like, attempting suicide and pissing on her face. I'm exaggerating a little bit now. But, yeah, like... So, Dad's move when he sees her for the first time after 2 months... The first time after 2 months, doesn't he feel like a deadbeat shithead anyway when he's picking her up from her foster home?
Like, what does he say to those? He probably waits out in the car and honks.
I guarantee he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, she gets in the car, and I don't want her, hey, let's let you tell your part first, then I'll tell you what I'm trying to avoid.
I mean, she said, she brought up that, something about, when we were talking, it was when I was coming... home from Portland a couple weeks ago on vacation.
So was this before or after she'd seen Dad?
This was after she'd seen Dad. And she said something, she somehow brought up Dad, about, like, seeing Dad. And I already knew that he spends the whole time just talking shit about us. Not like, how are you? And
you knew for a fact, or you just assumed?
I think you had told me that she mentioned it to you. That, like,
I thought I heard it from you first, but that information came from somewhere. I don't know.
Maybe. She somehow brought it up, and I was like, oh, cool. What did you guys talk about? And she says, well, mostly you guys and your podcast.
Why?
Like, really? That's what you're going to talk to your kid about, who you just screwed over again, the third kid you screwed over? And I'm like, oh, and I go, like, what? What did you say? And she goes, let's just say not nice things. So
why are you taking that 4 hours to bash your... He is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's because he has nobody else to bitch to.
Yeah.
It used to be us that he was bitching about his wife to.
Yeah.
And now the podcast is the new fuel for his fire. And he's going to talk to his mentally incapable daughter that he hasn't seen in 2 months, who's being raised by strangers because he's a fucking pussy. Oh my God. I don't even want to do this. It just makes me so upset to talk about. But
clip on the same note. But yeah, not nice things. And then I was like, and I wrote back something like, ha, ha, ha. Okay, we'll leave it there. And then I wrote something like, I wrote, what a terrible dad. He should be talking to you about other things other than how terrible your brothers are.
Right.
And she wrote back, okay. That's what she wrote. Like, and that's the thing is, like, so, Dad'll shit talk us. And I'm hoping she does the same thing because, yeah, I got pissed and I tried to send it back like, oh, yeah, well, Dad's a piece of shit for doing that. And she just like, I don't want to talk about it.
It's not that I'm not tempted to do that, PJ. I'd like the next Father's Day probably, when he bothers to see her again, and he picks her up and he wants
and
to...
And it's his day.
And he wants to shit talk whatever's going on in his life at that point. I don't want Melissa to be able to say, oh, Nick says you're a bad dad, because then I'm just playing into his fucking, like, he can listen to the podcast if he wants to know what a bad dad is.
I don't think she will, though. I think she's trying to be Switzerland. She's trying to be neutral on the whole thing. And it makes me wonder if when he is sitting there trash talking us, if she just does the same thing, like sort of shuts down and then changes it to like a Miley Cyrus conversation.
Right.
Because I remember when Mom first left and Dad would always just like rub our legs too much and fucking piss me off because like I lived with an asshole for 16 years and now it's totally different. And he would just sit there and be like, oh, your mother this and your mother that. And I was Mr. I hate my mother.
Oh, yeah.
I was Mr. that and Mr. that. And and there was at one point when I was like, I don't want to talk about Mom anymore. Like, I don't want to just sit here and listen to you bash Mom anymore. And Dad fucking exploded on me about that. Like, well, I'm sorry that you love her so much. I always thought you hated her, and I'm just trying to relate with you. And you look back and you're like, really, Dad? Really? You're mad at me? And you're saying like, oh, I thought we could hate your mother together. Like, come on, dude. Like, now I did hate her, but she's my mother, and I'm not saying she's my mother, so I'm not going to do that because I did. It just got old with him. But no matter if that is my opinion, he shouldn't be like, let's hate your mother together. He should be that guy that's like, well, she is your mother. You know, I grew up for that 16 years. Every time Mom went to reports about what a piece of shit I was, and he's like, that's your mother. You respect her. Now today, that's supposed to change?
Yeah.
Like, it's just fucking, he just flies off the handle so emotionally. He's an emotional fucking retard. Like, he has no idea what's going on. Right? I mean, and the only reason he was married and the only reason he's married now for so long is because that guy refuses to not be married. And we've talked to Tracy about that before, about he just was always obsessed with having a girlfriend or a wife. And
even though he's lost his entire family as a result of it.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to lose a wife. And why? Who knows? Like,
why, when he spent the first 10 years of that marriage bitching to us when we still allowed him to do so?
And you look at his
about how miserable she is and how miserable she makes him.
Yeah. And we don't know much about his first marriage, only that it was very short and ended with him getting his ass kicked. But his second marriage with Mom, you could be like, oh, he's so addicted to marriage because he likes to just sit there and fucking belittle his wife constantly.
But that's not the case with his
because his next wife, it's completely the opposite, and he still refuses to get out of it. And he would always talk about how miserable he was with Mom and that cow, and move his clothes upstairs and shit like that.
Yeah, I do remember a couple of those.
And then when she's leaving, remember she would sit on the chair, and he would be on his hands and knees, crawling with his head like in her lap, going, talk to me, honey, talk to me, like fucking.
He makes me sick.
Yeah.
He actually makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, and he does. And then just fucking every day that goes on. And, you know, and I don't know why I was talking to him so much in the last couple of years. Because it's fucking miserable. You know, he'd call me
up.
Yeah,
through episode 90, you weren't sure that you were going to cut off Sophie from him.
But that's different, though. That's like I might hate my dad, but it still is my daughter.
He still does not deserve to see your daughter. What's he going to do? Talk about the podcast with her?
That's my bullshit, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's good for a kid to have grandparents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I can't, I mean, obviously now with things that went on, and that's the thing too, is like, Dad, you're miserable with your wife, and I know that you hate fucking raising your children, obviously.
He has no outlet, he has no friends, he has no family left.
But fucking, if you listen to him, talk to me or to anybody else, it was all Sophie, and I'm a granddad, and you know, he's
so proud.
And he was a good grandfather, and like, finally this might be like the one little ray of sunshine in his life.
And the one thing you guys can relate over.
But he won't tell his wife, don't send these bullshit threats that you're never going to follow through on about, oh, I'm going to sue you because you don't like me, because that's going to jeopardize my relationship with my granddaughter. No, I mean, he just won't fucking say anything to her. He's willing to give up his entire family, including now his grandchild. So 3 generations of family, his mother, his siblings, no, 4 generations, his mother, his siblings, his children, and now his granddaughter, give that all up for someone that he's done nothing but complain about for over a decade now.
I'm not saying this as a joke. I give it a year, let's say a year and a half. he offs himself. He's going to commit suicide.
I don't think he is.
He has nothing left.
He loves being miserable, though. You know what he has left? Self-pity.
Maybe that was my want talking.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, we were talking about this the other day. I think that mom's going to die before dad, and it's going to be very soon. But it's not going to be
suicide. No.
It's just going to be because...
her body's falling apart.
I mean, she's just in bad shape. And you said that's a funeral that you might go to.
Right. Whereas if dad were to off himself or, die of a heart attack tomorrow, I have no interest in going to that funeral.
And is that only because, like, Neckforders is going to be there?
No, I mean, that's surely part of it. But no, it's because I don't feel the anger right now that I have for dad towards mom. Mom, I just feel like she's not all there anymore, so she can't entirely be blamed for everything.
I'll tell you this.
And I will say that a lot of the reason that she's so fucked up is because of the relationship she had with dad for so long.
Oh, absolutely.
It took a while to set in, but...
I mean, it was 20 years of just...
He's fucked up his whole family. Just mom,
I mean, that's why you and
anybody.
I are so fucked up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we had foresight enough to get out of there. I make a prediction right now, and maybe it'll serve as enticement. No matter who dies, mom or dad first, as long as it's very soon, we're to blame.
Yeah.
There will be extensive conversations between random people, Uncle Russ and somebody, or definitely Neckforders and whoever else. We're to blame. It's our fault. It's all on us.
So is that why you don't want to go to funerals?
But you know what? No, I mean, I don't want to go to funerals because I don't care about them anymore. And I can say that in all honesty. I have not one caring bone in my butt. I haven't had one for mom in years.
Oh, I know.
And dad, not just since this shit happened, since before that. I mean,
but you were willing to make exceptions because of Sophie and whatnot.
So that Sophie could have a grandparent. Just one fucking grandparent was all I wanted for her.
I hadn't really thought about that. She doesn't really have an active grandparent right now, does she?
No, not really.
That's sad. That is sad.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be put to blame for it. And, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with people saying that because if you and I had turned into, like, complete fucking drug addicts, homeless people who are in prison all the time, dad surely wouldn't be blaming himself.
No.
And neither would mom. They would both be saying, oh, I did the best I could by just completely fucking ditching them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a piece of shit Neckforders is. Like, I mean, it was there so early when dad met her and 5 minutes later they were engaged and he's like, oh, being Mr. Pussy and I want to have my boys there walking down the aisle. And then like literally the next day it's like, I talked to Neckforders and, it's just going to be us, but I think her kids were there.
Oh, there's no way they weren't.
But I mean, it was just worth it to him. His kids mean nothing to him. When it comes to being married, even if it's to the biggest fucking whore on earth, his kids mean nothing to him. He would much rather be married.
And unhappy.
Yeah. I mean, think about last year.
He's ever been happy.
When you threatened him that you were going to send him to jail if he didn't kidnap Melissa. I mean...
yeah,
like
that's what I did.
Couldn't he have thought, like, oh, maybe I should divorce Neckforders, get a place, live with Melissa.
Who I've not slept with in years, who I've not had a good relationship with from the beginning.
Now my kids will like me again. My kids will talk to me.
It still would have taken some time.
I can talk to my family again. I can have my family visit me or go visit my family again.
I have free will.
Because I don't have anti-allers living with me anymore. My wife who forbids me from seeing them. Like, I can actually get out of this being with one person who's so fucking terrible and
terrible towards him, mean to him.
And so I can be away from that, take responsibility for my one kid, and then have the door open and be able to have a relationship with the entire rest of my family who I haven't been able to have a relationship for almost 15 years now. Like, why was that not even an option to him? It's like, no, hey, Neckforders, guess what? Here's the email Nick sent me. Tell me what to think, what to feel, what to say.
By the way, here's a link to the podcast that I avoided telling you about for 2 years.
I really would like to know if he's the one that turned her on to that or if she just happened onto it.
How would she have happened onto it?
I just want to know.
They live such secluded lives.
I just want to know.
You think that it's a coincidence then that after he'd already, accused me of encouraging him to kidnap our little sister, and then CPS comes in, he's footing the bill. That's why. It all happened directly after Melissa got taken out of mom's house.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge inconvenience for him now. And, Neckforders isn't pissed enough. So now here's another thing to add on top of it. Yeah. And now I'm sticking it to you boys, too.
And what did Neckforders say when she was listening to the podcast?
No. No!
No. I love it. That's my favorite thing ever.
That's the first
I mean,
laugh.
I love it. And I love it that she's still listening. I mean, I hope she is.
I don't care anymore.
Do you think she's given up on it?
I don't. I want Dad to listen to this one, but I don't care. I don't care.
But see, but
I'm
why,
just so
why
burned
do you
out
want him
on
to
all of
listen
it.
to it? Do you think that he'll be like, oh,
No.
they're right, finally?
No, but 10% of him knows that we're right. The other 90% is, it smells like neck fritters.
Dad, right now, access that 10% of you. Just allow yourself 1 second with her eyes burning a hole in the side of your head to fucking do it.
And it does break my heart a little. I talked about this recently, but on my 30th birthday, which we hadn't recorded since then, I predicted that I would not get a phone call or an email or a text from Dad, and probably not from Mom. Dad, of course, did not. And that kind of, not that I don't want it, but like the fact that he was thinking about it all day and then didn't, I want that 10% to take over just long enough for him to be like, this is fucked up. I'll send him this. It doesn't have to mean anything by tomorrow. But he didn't even do that. Mom.
It would mean a lot, though. I mean, if anything, he knows that we would have talked about it on the podcast.
Right. And Mom, who's like an 80-pound, brainless waif at this point, still texted me on my birthday, and I haven't talked to her in a year now.
Yeah.
Just happy birthday, Nick, and I didn't write her back, but, that's something. That's something.
Yeah. We should have sent Dad a Father's Day card. Wouldn't that have been funny? Just sent it to him. With like a peace sign in it. So when you talk about like how you wrote Dad off before, how long ago was that $180 thing? Yeah, it was when you started that grocery store.
Yeah, so this has been like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, and then it got to the point again where you were talking to him, and
I don't remember how that happened.
Yeah, and going on those Melissa trips, which must have been torture. I went on 1 or 2 of those. And
I went on several for several years, off and on.
Made me mad. You got over that. Is there a time down the line when you see, or is this the final time that you've written?
No,
that
I think he screwed himself too severely at this point. He could apologize. He could leave his wife and apologize sincerely. And I think it's already too late. I honestly do.
Is that a condition he has to leave his wife?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But he should do that for his own sake regardless. That doesn't mean I'm going to talk to him ever again.
Yeah.
I'm done. Like, the fact that he allowed this to go on this long and all the stuff he's allowed his wife to do, his wife has done in his presence towards us, no, there's no way.
It's just weird to think about. Dad was 24 when you were born.
Okay.
So it's just weird to think about. I mean, like, theoretically, you could be in your 60s and Dad would still be alive. I mean, look at him. Dad's almost 60.
No, I already made my prediction.
And I know, but I mean, it's possible. Is it weird to think that, like, 30 years from now, you still will not have talked to Dad?
I would think it won't be as weird for me because, I mean, I'm angry now because a lot of shit is going down in the moment. But a year from now, even, assuming this lawsuit never comes to fruition, which I doubt it will, I'm not saying there's no chance.
Yeah, I don't mean like talk to him in a courtroom.
Right.
I'm talking about talk to him like as part of having a relationship.
No, I'm content with the idea of never talking to him again.
Let's
and
say,
I maybe I'll hit a midlife crisis when let's say I'm 50 and I can finally afford my Corvette and to get my driver's license back again. No, I think by that time. The only thing I worry about, like when I think about the future, because I'll think about it sometimes, like it's crazy that as of 30 and 28 years old, our parents are cut out of our lives.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to be in
it
the
happens much younger for some people.
I know it does, but
for
I don't
most
think
people it doesn't happen.
I don't think for the same reasons most times. Like, I feel like it's when I get in the dating scene again and the question comes, I mean, I already fucked it up the last time, episode 90 taught us that. But like when I'm developing a relationship again and explaining for the first time why my relationship with my family is the way it is, like that's a lot of explaining. It's not just one thing, and that's why I don't think Dad deserves it. Like if it was just one thing that he would, but no, he could pull out a whole scroll of apologies starting from when we were born, and it wouldn't be enough for me at this point. He's had so many chances to fix things, and he refused to. So I honestly hope he does. Like. I'd be happy for him if he left his wife and, found somebody he was happy with and could be himself around, but I don't think he knows who that is anymore.
You
Maybe
know,
this is him.
you know, and for me, if I sit here and I think about it's 10 years from now, I'm taking my daughter to school every day, and wherever I'm living, whatever I'm doing with my life, and out of nowhere I get an email, or who knows what it'll be, the form of communication at
Right.
that point.
Hologram.
From him.
When you get that dad hologram going.
Yeah, he's like, I want to beam myself over to your house. What do you think about that? I wouldn't need that list of apologies. I wouldn't need even acknowledgement for specific things. Maybe like once a relationship was repaired, and much later, just sort of one conversation about like, I was wrong and I'm sorry. Something like that. I don't need to be like, I'm sorry that I yelled at you when you lost that Garfield watch. I'm sorry.
You don't want an apology for that?
No, I mean, not specifically. It was so long ago. I mean, it's fun to think back about them, and it's definitely nice to sit here and go, especially knowing he's listening, like, fuck you. That really, I still think about that. Like, this is a testimony to people, including myself. You need to watch yourself with your kids because shit gets remembered.
Yeah.
And if you screw your kids over and they become as vindictive as you and I have become, that's going to be it. Like, you can't get mad at us because we do a podcast and talk shit about you, because, yeah, not every parent's kids do that, and it definitely wasn't expected, but it shouldn't be that you didn't think this was coming, and that's why you did it. You know what I mean? It just should have never happened. When you do shit like that, you can't get mad when something like this happens. When we call you out on it in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
There's a lot of people who write books about how fucked up their parents are and stuff like that. And, they don't have their stepmothers threatening to sue them, and these people are profiting off of their memoirs. I'm like, just don't fuck over your kids, and guess what? You don't have to worry about anything. Because, like I say, 15 years from now, who knows what kind of medium there will be. I don't have to sit here and go, oh, I hope my daughter won't be on there putting me on blast, because I know she won't, because I'm going to be careful to be a good parent.
Right.
To put my kid first, to not be selfish when it comes to
That's what it is, selfishness.
Yeah. So if he came to me much later, no, I wouldn't need a laundry list of specific events and apologies for them. I mean, I can't even see it ever. I can't see Dad swallowing his pride and ever being like.
Which is funny because he has apologized for little things in the past.
Yeah. Within
the last few years, to me at least.
But and if it was 15 years from now, the only way that would happen is because Nick Furters just died or something like that.
Right.
Or she finally left him. When she leaves him, that's when we'll get the apology email.
So you'll accept that apology?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's when he's gonna approach us.
Because he won't leave her, but once she, I see.
Once she leaves him, or she's dead, or whatever like that. By the way, if we're doing a suicide poll between mom and dad, let's throw her into it, and she wins. She's the first one.
No way.
You don't think so?
No, she's too proud of her hate.
Well, then accidental OD on all of her pills then.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Neck Furters, don't get mad because our dad told us about how many pills you pop. So that's how we got that information. And if you want to say slander, Dad's the one who slandered you.
Yeah.
Dad's the one that said that happened. We know it as fact. So, but yeah, that's the only way it would happen. And then even that in itself would make me mad. Like, oh, really? Now that this marriage is over, like, that's why?
Yeah.
That's
Don't
when you'll
accept
choose
that
to
apology,
acknowledge
PJ.
it.
Don't accept that apology.
No, I mean, I won't. And I have no intention to. When my daughter's 13 and he's not married anymore, and he writes me an email or whatever that says, I know that our relationship is damaged beyond repair, blah, blah, blah. I don't expect you to forgive me. I'm not going to try to get you to forgive me. Can I see my granddaughter? That might be a completely different story. That would be like, obviously up to Sophie, but still a lot up to me. Like,
I think it's wrong that you're giving him hope right now. He's like, all right, well, I'll give it that 13 years. I'll phrase it exactly the way you said just now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a tiny bit of hope because, like I say, I would have to.
I say he doesn't deserve it.
I would have to decide whether or not I think I'm willing to let that happen, and then if I was, then you tell your kid.
Then you're a bigger man than me because he doesn't deserve it. I feel like he should die lonely based on the way he's treated us.
But you don't know how you'll feel in that long if that were to happen.
I realize I'm riled up right now,
yeah.
but I don't see it changing.
And I don't know how I would feel. like I say, I'm just putting like theoreticals out there.
Yeah.
Because he didn't do anything to screw over Sophie. He did things to screw over his relationship with Sophie.
Sure.
But, I mean, that's it. And then that would be up to her. And then what 13-year-old that has no memory whatsoever of their grandparent goes, yeah, I want to go spend some time with a grandparent that I apparently have. Like, fucking boring.
But she's going to have questions. I haven't thought about that. Like, once she gets older, she's going to wonder, like, where are my grandparents? What's the story there?
Maybe. Or she might just be used to it. But, I mean, if she did, you just tell her, you know?
What are you going to tell her? What's that conversation going to
Just say there was a lot of... I mean, I wouldn't get into specifics, but I mean...
Well, there was this Garfield watch.
She will definitely be able to, at some point, no matter what we're doing then, be able to come back and access all of this.
Sure.
You know, and listen to that. And I could say, listen to that and find out for yourself.
Would you do that, though?
I mean, I would just be like, you know, there was a lot of shit that happened. There's a lot of shit that happened.
I don't approve of all the swearing you're doing to his daughter.
We gave him a lot of additional chances which he didn't deserve, and he just fucked it up every time. Like, and you know, I call it a fuck up, not because I'm like, well, a relationship with me is so, you know, valuable, and you blew it and you don't get it now anymore. But I mean,
I'd be lost without you, honestly.
You would think that he is a little lost without his kids. I mean, and he can't even talk to his stepkids because Neckforders is fighting with them every other week.
Right.
Yeah, he screwed himself for as far as that part of his life goes. But that doesn't mean that he can, like I said, that doesn't mean that he can't take steps to make things better. Like, leave his wife, get into a happier life, spend time with his daughter, and be able to, like, see more of his family, who she forbids him to see. I mean...
So I'm going to throw the same question.
Grandma's old. She's going to be dead any time, and he's, like, not allowed to visit her whatsoever. I mean, when she dies, he's going to go, wow, I haven't seen her in 15 years, and he can look at his wife and say, because of you.
He can say that about all of his extended family and immediate family.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm going to throw the same question back at you. Like, would leaving Neckforders be a requirement before you accept his apology and let him see your daughter?
I mean,
I know that can change, but as of right now, what are your feelings on that?
As of right now, my feelings are that I have no interest in that, really. If he were to call me up
55 minutes into the episode on one subject, we have no interest in dead.
If he, I know.
I know what you mean, though.
If you were to write me an email today and put all those exact words in it, like, I know our relationship is beyond repair, blah, blah, blah. I'm just hoping.
I hope he's writing it down.
I'm hoping to see my grandkid again. Right now, my answer would be like no, and it would like 90% be because of Neckforders. I'm not saying that if he divorced her, I would let him see my kid, but
the odds are much better, much more in his favor.
If he was married, it wouldn't happen.
Right.
If he was married to her, especially the way it is right now, I can't see myself. I mean, it was so hard to be cordial with her as it was.
Right.
And the only times I had to see her was because the kid was born, and I was being the bigger person and going, okay, I'll put myself through this so you guys can see the kid. And I mean, it was going fine. And the thing is, while all that was happening, we were talking trash about them on the podcast.
And
Dad
knew
every
it.
week.
And
Dad knew it. And that was fine. And even if Neckforders knew it and didn't do all this,
she didn't know it, though. She didn't know it.
I know, but even if she did and wasn't doing all the threatening and stuff like that, it still could have been the same thing. But I mean, she just can't help but be like, oh, I'm going to sue you because this is what I like to do, and I have experience in this. And I mean, it's bananas. That's what it is. The whole thing is just so fucking out of control.
What's in on the side? Seriously, there's no other way to end this.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this was an episode where we talked about one subject the whole time, which you can count the jokes on one hand. The guy that's lost a couple of fingers could count the jokes in this episode on one hand.
But hopefully it's angry and entertaining enough.
Yeah.
I like to think people are walking away, wow, and I thought my parents were fucked up, you know?
Yeah. But really what they're probably saying is like, wow, these guys need to let it go. Quit dwelling on it.
Well, then let's have those people send us an email. Open up our eyes. Was that your sigh?
That was
pretty
my
girly.
sigh.
Go one more time.
That's the mom sigh right there.
God, give me the strength.
Fight. It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. It must have been, it must have been, it must